Healthcareonomics, changing healthcare by changing the way you think about healthcare. Hey everybody, welcome to Healthcareonomics, where we're here to change healthcare by changing the way you think about healthcare. I'm the creator of Healthcareonomics and your host, Dr. Kevin Wacasey, and welcome to our introductory show. This is our video podcast that we'll be bringing you from week to week, and hope that you tag along with us. Don't know what to call it. Is it a video podcast? Is it a podcast? I'm not really sure, so just bear with me as we go through this and we'll figure it out. But I thought in this introductory show I'd tell you a little bit about myself, what I hope to accomplish with this, and what I think you need to do to make some changes in your life that will be beneficial about health insurance and healthcare. I started being a physician 23 years ago. Gosh, has it been that long? It has. But back in 1994, when I graduated from medical school, I took an oath to do no harm to my patients. And to me, that oath includes doing no financial harm to my patients. And I take that very seriously. However, in today's day and age, I think you'll agree, it's pretty difficult for physicians to not do financial harm to their patients, especially given the corporate world of medicine where physicians are employed by companies and businesses, as well as the onerous insurance regulations and health insurance contracts that many physicians are forced to sign and participate in networks. So a few years ago, after having worked 20 plus years in the emergency department, in the emergency room, where I finally found out how I was being used to, for lack of a better term, rip people off, rip patients off, when I found out that my services were being charged exorbitantly for patients to be seen, for a 5-minute visit for a sore throat, for instance, the patient would be charged $2,700. Now, I want to assure you, I was not getting that $2,700. The corporation I was working for was. In fact, if I were getting the $2,700, I doubt I would be doing this video podcast. I'd probably be seeing sore throat patients all day long. But here we are. I wasn't getting $2,700 per patient. In fact, I would have felt greasy if I still was doing that anyway. So 4 years ago, I decided to start my own clinic, the Colleyville Medical Clinic, and you can check that out at colleyvillemed.com. And it's a clinic where I don't take any health insurance. Now, call me crazy. Plenty of people have called me crazy, and sometimes I wonder myself, this is crazy. Why are you doing this? But I'm on a mission, and I think that people who understand what I'm about and understand how I can save them money by not accepting health insurance, once they get it, they really get it. And you need to understand it and get it too. To illustrate this, I want to tell you my genius story. This really did happen to me a few years ago. Right after I opened my clinic, I was at a concert sitting next to a couple. And they asked me, what do you do for a living during the intermission? And I said, well, I'm a doctor. And the woman looks at me and she says, what kind of doctor are you? And I said, well, I have my own clinic, but I don't take any health insurance. And she said, wow, oh my gosh, that is genius. Wow. You know, you're a genius. And I looked at him and I said, you know, I don't really consider myself to be a genius, nor my business model to be genius. I look at it as being like every other business in the U.S. I mean, I provide a service and I get paid for doing it. So what's genius about that? And as I said this, her and her husband's, the looks on their faces changed as they realized that I was right. But then I looked at him and I followed it up by saying, but you know what's genius, lady? What's genius is the fact that you think I'm a genius. Now that is genius. And the look on their faces gave it away after that, as they realized that, like most of America for the past 40 or 50 years, they've been had by the health insurance industry. In other words, why is it that we would consider paying a doctor to be abnormal at all? It's not, trust me. So after that, I decided to go ahead and start getting the word out. So I created a blog. That's at healthcareonomics.com. And you can follow us along there and follow me along there, And you can see a lot of my writing, what I've been thinking about. And we're going to be posting these videos to the blog as well as they come available. I also have written a couple of books in the past year. The first one is called The Guide to Buying Health Insurance and Healthcare. And it is not as serious as it sounds. But it's more of my take on how you can save money on health insurance and healthcare. It describes the takeover of healthcare by the health insurance industry back in the 50s, and what that did to the prices of healthcare. Then I go into how the health insurance industry has changed with high deductibles, and I talk about how you can save money on not only your health care, but your health insurance as well. The second book that I've written is called Healthcareonomics 101. It's 500 ways you're being ripped off by the health insurance and healthcare industries. Any questions? And basically what this involves is funny little aphorisms such as, how do you turn a $100 doctor visit into $20, into a $20 copay? You buy an $1,800 a month health insurance plan, of course. So you can check those books out. They're available on Amazon, iTunes, and Nook, and you can also find links to that on my blog, Healthcareonomics, as well. Now, a little bit more about me. I am not an actor, okay? I've never taken one acting course, and I'm just doing this ad lib pretty much. This series is very unscripted, I want to assure you. But, I try to liven it up, and I've got a tremendous sense of humor. In fact, I would have been a comedian, but their schedule sucks worse than an ER doctor's. But I have been known to do some accents from time to time, and I like throwing little Irish accents in there, English accents, so I can do all kinds of accents if you'd like. So if you hear me just suddenly shift into that, just go with it, okay? You'll have some fun, laugh a little bit. So the question is, though, why am I doing this? What am I up to? What do I hope to accomplish? Well, why I'm doing this is because I'm not an economist, okay? And I'm going to be straightforward in that. As Ferris Bueller would say, never took one lesson in economics. In fact, I've never taken a business course in my life. Sometimes it shows. You can ask my accountant. I'm very good at subtraction. But I may not be a healthcare economist, and I'm certainly not a healthcare business expert, but I am a healthcare expert. And let me tell you why. Because unlike most healthcare economists and experts that you see on the news all the time and every day that are talking about what's going on with healthcare and health insurance, etc., well, unlike those turkeys who wouldn't know which end of a thermometer to put in a patient without smelling it, okay, unlike them, I sell and I buy healthcare services and products every day of my career. So I know what I'm talking about. Those guys don't know what they're talking about, and I'll prove it to you as we go along. So I do consider myself to be a healthcare expert, but not just because I do know which end of a thermometer to use or which end of a stethoscope we listen with. You know why I'm a healthcare expert? Is because I know what healthcare really costs. And would you be shocked to learn that despite what you hear about the rising costs of healthcare all the time, healthcare just ain't that expensive. Promise. I'll prove it to you right now. For instance, the most expensive antibiotic that I administer in my clinic costs me, okay, less than $3 to provide it to you. And that's including the $2.57 for the actual antibiotic dose. That includes about 10 cents for the syringe, maybe 5 cents for the needle, I don't know, a couple of cents each for the Band-Aids and the alcohol wipes. Add all those things up, you get less than $3. And that is what it costs me to administer the most expensive antibiotic in my clinic to a patient. Now, I charge for that antibiotic $35 for that, which by any business school standard I think would be a heck of a profit. But it's nowhere near the $300, $600, $900 charges that are put about by hospitals and other healthcare entities who take health insurance. So I like to say, after this little illustration, what I'd like to say is that it's not the costs of healthcare that are outrageous, it's the charges. Healthcare is not very costly. Again, despite what you hear in the media all the time about the rising costs of healthcare, healthcare costs are rising. They're not. It's the charges. It's the markup, as we'll see later on. And what I call this whole idea about the rising cost of healthcare, that healthcare is so expensive, I call this the big myth of healthcare. And that is this, that healthcare is so expensive, it's so costly, that we need health insurance to cover healthcare. Well, we don't. I promise you, I provide plenty of healthcare in my clinic. And I'm telling you right now, people don't have insurance or they don't pay me with their insurance plans, and we get along just fine. They experience very good health care with my clinic. And with other clinics around the country, too. This is a movement called direct patient care, direct primary care that's taking on. Now, the whole definition, this led me to define what I call healthcareonomics, and that is the study of how the normal economic forces that we're all familiar with. I mean, we know what an apple should cost. We know how much a flat tire may set us back. We even know pretty much how much a car is worth. But how much is it for an earache or an appendectomy? Well, we have no idea of these costs, and it's going to take a while for these to come about, for these to get changed and get entrenched in our normal system. But until they do, we're stuck with healthcareonomics. And this is where the normal economic forces that we're all familiar with just get twisted, warped, and broken when applied to the American healthcare system. I mean, how can you justify $12 aspirin charges? I mean, that's ridiculous. Everybody knows that aspirin doesn't cost $12, but yet you get charged $12 per aspirin tablet if you have to go to the hospital for a sickness. Now, that's just not right. That's not correct, and it's healthcareonomics in action. So a little bit more about me, my politics. I have to say that I do consider myself to be a libertarian, which means that socially I'm pretty liberal. I really don't care what most people do, provided they stay within the confines of the law, and provided that fiscally I don't gotta pay for it. I really am not into paying for people's fun, and I'm all about a hand up, but I am not about a hand out. And I think this puts me squarely in the middle of most people in the country, whether they know about it or think about it or not. We're mostly libertarian-minded, at least. And so I really don't pick sides in the political battle. I bash Democrats, I bash Republicans as well, because to me, what we need is a change of guard. As we'll see as we explore this video series, you'll get to know my thoughts on the political process. And really, the crop of politicians that we have now on both sides of the aisle have sold their souls to the health insurance industry and the healthcare industry, and they got to go. We need to get them out of there, get some new blood in there, some people who will respond to the needs of the people and not special interests. It's a tough call, I know, but let's see what we can do. Now, I aim to take on all these politicians and the pundits and the other healthcare experts who continue to preach the big myth of healthcare, that we need health insurance to have all of your health care. I'm telling you, you don't. Now, let me make this clear, though, and I do want to emphasize, I am not against health insurance. I am not taking a stand against health insurance. In fact, I think health insurance is a wise thing to have. I have health insurance. I recommend that you have health insurance, too. I recommend you have it for your family. But it's something that we should only need a few times, really, throughout our entire lives. The rest of healthcare, we should just be buying and paying for ourselves. You'll see prices come down, you'll see service come up, and you'll see everybody be a lot happier. That's not what the health insurance industry wants, though. That's why they keep maintaining the big myth of healthcare. Now, I don't pretend to have all the answers. In fact, many times I get asked, well, what would you do if this happened and that happened, but this didn't happen? Well, I'm not here to answer the healthcare crisis. What I am trying to do, though, is identify what I see is going on that's wrong and trying to offer a little advice about how you can change it for yourselves, for your families, maybe even for the country. But I certainly don't pretend to have all the answers. And as we go through this video series, I think you'll be surprised by a little bit about what I say. You'll be shocked at some of the things that I say. Hopefully you'll laugh a lot at what I say most of the time. And I think sometimes you'll get angry at what I say. But most of all, what I really hope to do is to change your mind and to change everyone you know, their minds as well, about the two most misunderstood industries in the United States today, health insurance and healthcare. So that about does it for our first episode, our introductory episode of Healthcareonomics. I thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, I would ask that you check out our new website, healthylabs.com. That's where I'm putting my money where my mouth is and offering discounted healthcare services across the nation. It's not available in all states, but if you have a need for labs and you have high deductible health insurance, you're probably going to save quite a bit of money by shopping there on healthylabs.com. So I have no problem. Let's get that out there and get the word out and start saving folks some money. You can also follow me on social media. I'm very active on Twitter at HCOnomics. I'm also on Facebook at Healthcareonomics. I have a SoundCloud account and a SoundCloud channel that you can pick these up on. We'll be converting these into audio as well and posting them there. And so please follow me and like and comment and share as you see fit. I love getting feedback from my audience. So again, I'm Dr. Kevin Wacasey. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, stay safe.